everybody, I'm Matt Weafer, Executive Chef at the Campbell Club here in downtown Owensboro. Thanks for joining me in the kitchen on Hometown TV. Today we're doing a pan-roasted cod succotash. I have a Pacific cod here. It's a cod loin, it's about 8 ounces, and I've got it on a paper towel here because anytime I mess with fresh fish, I always want to make sure the fish is extremely dry before I add it to a pan. Dry fish it won't stick in the pan as well. It'll get a nice char on the outside. It'll caramelize really well, and especially if you're messing with frozen fish, sometimes they absorb a lot of moisture, and when they thaw out, they just sit there and just become extremely juicy and will just steam in the pan, and that is not very good. So if you're dealing with frozen fish, you want to wrap it up in some paper towel and stick it in the refrigerator and thaw it out like that overnight. And those paper towels will absorb that extra moisture. And as you can see, this fish is nice and dry. I've got kosher salt, I've got ground white pepper, fresh ground black pepper. I like the contrast of the black and the white on seafood. I think it's just a good flavor profile. I've got my pan here. It's right smoking hot. I've got just canola oil. Canola oil has a high smoke point. It's a very neutral flavor. It's perfect for searing things. You can hear that sizzle. That's exactly what you want. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to let this sear, and I'm not going to touch it from this point on until it's cooked all the way through. I'm going to let it sit and sear on this side. I'm going to finish it down to the oven without flipping it over. What that's going to do is it's going to continue to caramelize the fish, give it a nice crust on the bottom, and it won't sear the top side, but it will cook all the way through because it's down into the oven. When it comes out, I'll flip it over, let it kiss the pan for just a couple of seconds, just to cook it all the way through on the bottom side. But by doing that, we get an awesome crust on the bottom of the fish. In this next pan here, we're going to make a zucchini and corn succotash. It's one of my favorite dishes for summertime. We have fresh corn, fresh zucchini, all local, onions and green bell peppers. Throw that in there with some tomatoes and chicken stock and white wine. Makes just a delicious sauce, delicious side item as well. This is the only thing we're going to pair with the cod because that's really all it needs. We've got, again, canola oil, onions and bell peppers here. Using canola oil for the same reason, just for the neutral oil and the high smoke point. That way I can cook it really fast and really hot. Let these go and get translucent, and they're going to get a little bit of color on the sides. Our fish is searing away in the pan. See it smoking. I'm going to wait until I can see a little bit of color on the edge, and then I'm going to throw it down into the oven. Okay. Let this go just a little bit longer. And I'm going to chop up some fresh rosemary. The next thing I'm going to add is fresh rosemary with garlic and chili flakes. It's summertime, we got fresh herbs, fresh produce everywhere, and it is my favorite time because you just have a wide assortment of ingredients you can add to the pan that are super fresh and local, and fresh to me always tastes better. Got some minced garlic going in with the onions and peppers. Got my rosemary. Rosemary is a really hearty herb, so you can add it in at the early point of the dish, and it'll really just toast up and infuse into the pan really well. Okay, I'm going to let those go for about 30 seconds. You can see some color forming on the bottom of the fish there. It means it's getting a good color. I'm going to turn the skillet off. Like I said, I'm not going to flip it. I'm going to go straight down into an oven, about 450 degrees or so. And it's going to finish there. And the pan is so hot, it's going to continue to sear the bottom of that fish. All right, about 30 seconds is all you need for that garlic before it burns. White wine. I'm going to add a good bit of white wine because I want a nice broth to this dish. And I'll put the cod right on top of it, and the broth will soak right into the fish. Okay, chicken stock. I'm going to add some fresh zucchini. I'm going to let it simmer into this stock. Keeps it nice and tender, but maintains that really fresh flavor. And we have sweet corn. What we do with our sweet corn here is we, of course, we husk it and, we shuck it and then put it on the grill. Get a good char on the outside and then cut it off the cob. We'll use this for a bunch of different applications. We'll mix it into soup, mix it into sauces, salads, what have you. We keep it in the refrigerator and it keeps really well, and it just develops that nice grilled flavor. Just salt and pepper in here. Drop this down and let it simmer at this point. Have fresh diced tomatoes. Get these from Cecil Farms. Stir this all in here. You can see with all the different colors and all the different flavors that are going on here. The corn is super sweet. The zucchini is really earthy, and the bright acidity of the tomatoes mixed with that white wine, the rosemary, and the sweetness of the onions too. It's going to be a perfect pair to go with that cod, because this flavor is going to be really potent, and the acid from the wine and the tomatoes is going to help cut right through the fishiness of the fish. Crank this up, bring it up to a boil. Add a little bit more stock to it, because that's going to keep reducing. And I've got, like I said, I've got a lot of juice in here, and that juice is going to absorb all the flavors of the tomato, the zucchini. It's going to absorb the sweetness from the sugar, the rosemary, and the broth in this dish is what's going to probably be the best part. That's going to be one of my favorite parts of the plate anyway. That's when you come back with a little bit of bread and swipe it up and eat it like that. Let that simmer for a few minutes. I'm going to chop up some fresh herbs to finish it with. Alright. Okay. You can see the zucchini is starting to wilt and get kind of tender. You can smell the corn. The corn is what I can smell the most out of this. That rosemary is going to be a great addition to it. I'm going to pull the cod out of the oven and take a peek at it. Cod, I like to cook it to about a medium temperature, about 135 or so. You don't want to cook cod well done, because it just kind of falls apart. It'll flake apart. You can see right here as I'm pressing it, I can feel it's starting to flake apart right here on the top. So I'm going to let that sit and rest. I'm going to go ahead and flip it over. Beautiful color, and as that sits and rests, that skin, that crust will get a nice crunch on it. Alright, here we go. Most of the juice in this pan has evaporated, it is reduced, it's concentrated. So I'm going to go ahead and add my herbs into it. Turn off the heat. It's got fresh basil and green onions there. You don't want to cook fresh basil, you just kind of want to let it steep into the dish. That's a little bit of unsalted butter. Remember, I used canola oil to start the dish because I wanted it to get really hot, but I still want the richness from the butter, so that's why I'm adding it at the end here. It's going to melt right into it. It's going to really preserve that good, clean butter flavor. Add nice richness to the broth. You can see the color of that. It's got the red from the tomato and everything in there. It's good. I'm going to take our fish out of the pan here, and I'm going to move it to a paper towel just for a second, just to let it drain off any grease or drippings onto the paper towel. Okay, get this out of the way here. Plate. There we go. Very colorful, sweet, a little spicy from the chili flakes. I'll load it all up on there. You can see the broth running onto the plate. Now with the cod. There we go. That's our Pacific cod with zucchini and corn succotash. That's on our summer menu right now. It's one of the house favorites, one of my personal favorites too. I'm Matt Weafer, the executive chef at the Campbell Club. Thanks for joining me in the kitchen on Hometown TV.